Detective Marcus Hale didn't believe in intuition, not until that night. He had been walking across the dimly lit precinct parking lot, replaying the clues Emily left behind, when something made him stop. An instinct, a pressure in the air, the feeling of being watched. He glanced toward his office window, and there it was. A shadow behind him, reflected faintly in the glass, shifting, deliberate, too defined to be imagination. Marcus spun around, but the corridor behind him was empty. The building hummed quietly with the buzz of old fluorescent lights. No movement, no footsteps, no sign of a person. Still, he knew what he saw. Someone had been standing behind him, too close, too silent. He tightened his grip on his car keys, scanning every corner, every patch of darkness. Whatever Emily had been running from, it wasn't just after her anymore. It was after him now. The drive across town was quiet, but heavy with tension. Marcus knew he shouldn't go alone, not at night, not without backup, not when the clues pointed directly toward a potentially dangerous group Emily referred to as the Shadows. But protocol didn't matter anymore. Emily had left clues for someone who could think like her, follow her patterns, decode what she couldn't say out loud. If he waited, the trail might go cold. The property might be cleared out, evidence destroyed. As his car rolled deeper into the outskirts of Brookville, streetlights thinned and houses became more spaced. The old industrial road leading to 1407 West End Lane was silent. No passing cars, no pedestrians, not even the distant hum of traffic. It was as if the town itself had shut its eyes. The property came into view. A two-story warehouse, long abandoned, its windows boarded, its exterior rusted by weather and time. But a single upstairs window glowed faintly from inside. Electricity. Someone was there. Marcus parked a block away and approached on foot, moving between the shadows of overgrown weeds and broken fencing. He pressed a hand against the front door. Unlocked. He stepped inside. The air was cold. Too cold. Light dust coated the floor, disturbed only in certain areas. Drag marks, footprints, signs of recent activity. Marcus swept his flashlight across the room. Old filing cabinets, discarded crates, a rusted generator. Nothing noteworthy. But then he heard it. A soft sound. A click. Somewhere upstairs. Marcus drew his weapon and began climbing the narrow metal staircase. Each step groaned under his weight. At the top was a closed door. The faint glow of a light seeped from underneath. He exhaled once, then pushed it open. The room wasn't abandoned. It was an operation. Pinned across every wall were photographs of people, taken without their knowledge. At grocery stores, bus stops, walking home. Every image had the same style, grainy, distant, surveillance-like. And Emily's photos were everywhere. Emily at the university, Emily on her bus, Emily unlocking her apartment door, Emily buying groceries. Her movements had been tracked for months. Marcus stepped closer. One corner of the room displayed an entire timeline dedicated to Emily's last 2 weeks, each day marked meticulously. On the far wall, a cluster of images was pinned tighter than the rest, and in the center was a single note. 1407, Phase 2 begins. Marcus whispered under his breath. Phase 2 of what? But as he scanned the final row of photographs, his stomach dropped. There, pinned between 2 images of Emily, was a photograph of himself, taken earlier that evening as he left the station. Whoever these people were, they weren't just watching Emily anymore. They were watching him. Marcus forced himself to slow down. Panic clouded judgment. He scanned each wall methodically, looking for anything Emily could have left. Near a rusted desk sat an old laptop plugged into a portable battery. The screen's login page displayed an unfamiliar username, Shadow14. But the password prompt was empty. Marcus tried Emily's birthday. Nothing. The locket numbers. Nothing. Common phrases found in her notes. Nothing. Then his eyes landed on a small post-it attached to the corner of the screen. It's not the numbers, it's the order. Emily wrote that. He opened his notebook. Inside were the digits she'd left behind in the locket. 140722. He rearranged them in several patterns until something clicked. A date, but in European format. 220714. July 14th, 2022. The day Emily started her research project. He typed 220714. The laptop unlocked. Inside the laptop were only 3 files. File 1. A video dated 2 days before Emily vanished. Emily sat in her apartment, whispering hurriedly, eyes swollen from lack of sleep. If you're seeing this, I failed. They took everything. My research, my access, my files. They're not who they say they are. The project, it wasn't research. It was surveillance. We were studying people who didn't know they were being watched. She paused, swallowing hard. They realized I figured out the pattern. That's when they started following me. I don't know how long I can stay ahead of them. The recording ended. Marcus played the second file, section. A map of Brickville. Red dots marked various locations. Emily's home, her workplace, the alley, 1407 West End Lane, and a dozen more. Across the top was a title. Strong, Shadow Grid, Active Zones. Marcus exhaled sharply. This wasn't a random stalker. This was a network. The third file froze him. File 3, a recording dated the morning Emily disappeared. The video was only 5 seconds long. A single sentence whispered urgently. Someone else was inside the building. He killed the laptop screen and pressed himself against the wall, listening. Soft, careful movements. Not searching. Not panicked. Tracking. Marcus holstered the laptop under his arm and stepped silently to the staircase, weapon drawn. A shadow shifted near the base of the steps. Tall, slow-moving, impossible to identify. Marcus stepped back into the dark. But the person below spoke first. A calm, controlled voice. "Detective Hall, we've been waiting for you." Marcus's pulse slammed through his chest. Whoever they were, they knew his name, and they weren't surprised he found this place. The figure stepped into view, emerging from the shadows. A tall man, dark coat, gloved hands. Patterson's description flashed across Marcus's mind. The stranger who stood too close to Emily in the hallway. Marcus leveled his gun. "Don't move." The man chuckled softly. "We don't want to hurt you, detective. You're smarter than the others, and much closer to understanding the project." Marcus tightened his grip. "Who are you?" The man tilted his head. "We're the ones who keep the balance. The ones she tried to expose." Marcus stepped down onto the first metal stair. "Where's Emily?" A pause. A smile. "Ahead of you, but not for long." Marcus fired a warning shot, the bullet sparking against a steel beam. The man didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped backward into the shadows and vanished, like he was never there. Marcus ran down the stairs, each step clanging loudly. He hit the ground floor, scanning the darkness, but the man was gone. No footsteps, no exit, Nothing but dust swirling in the cold air. Marcus swept his flashlight across the room until he noticed something new. A small envelope in the center of the floor. He approached cautiously. His name was written on the front. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "You're late. 22 minutes. A location was written beneath it. Old Brookville Water Plant. 11:45 p.m. Marcus checked his watch. It was 11:23 p.m. He had 22 minutes. The same number from the locket. Marcus sprinted to his car and sped toward the water plant on the far edge of town. The entire drive felt wrong. Streetlights flickered. Shops were closed earlier than usual. Cars that were normally parked along the residential roads were gone. It was as if people were staying inside intentionally, as if they knew something was happening tonight. Emily had said, "They're closer now." Marcus felt that truth in his bones. When he reached the plant, the clock read 11:43 p.m. 2 minutes to spare. He stepped out of the car slowly. The plant was a hulking, decaying structure. Its massive water tanks cast long shadows that warped across the cracked concrete. The wind whipped through broken metal grates with an eerie whistle. Marcus scanned the grounds. No movement. Until a faint flicker of light deep inside the structure. Like someone held a flashlight, waiting. Marcus moved toward it. Inside the plant, water dripped rhythmically from broken pipes. The hum of old machinery echoed faintly, though nothing had run in years. Marcus followed the shifting light through a maze of rusted walkways until he reached the control room. There, lying on the floor, was a small black recorder. He picked it up. Pressing play, Emily's voice poured out, shaking but determined. "Detective Hall, if you made it this far, then you understand the pattern. They're not following me. They're following everyone. I wasn't supposed to see the files, but I did. They track movements, routines, vulnerabilities." Static crackled. "I don't know how long they'll keep me alive, but listen carefully. There were never just shadows behind me. The shadows are." The recording cut off abruptly. Then a second voice whispered close to the microphone, "You're getting too close." Marcus lowered the recorder slowly. He wasn't alone. Footsteps behind him. Slow. Measured. Approaching. Marcus turned sharply, but he froze. Because this time it wasn't the tall man from the warehouse. It was someone else. A woman. Face half hidden by darkness. Eyes fixed on him with unsettling calm. Her voice was almost gentle. "Emily didn't tell you everything." Marcus raised his gun. "Who are you?" She stepped closer, unbothered by the weapon aimed at her chest. "I'm here to give you the truth, before they erase it." Marcus didn't lower his gun. "Where is Emily?" The woman paused, studying him carefully. "Emily is alive." Marcus's heart jolted. "Where?" The woman's expression tightened, fear creeping into her calm facade. "They moved her. Tonight." Phase 2 started early because you interfered. Marcus took a step forward. "Take me to her." The woman shook her head slowly. "I can't. They're watching this place right now." Marcus scanned the darkness behind her, but saw nothing. Until she whispered, "Look up." Marcus tilted his head, and what he saw made his blood run cold. Dozens of red targeting lasers were pointed directly at him. From the rafters, from the shadows, from hidden vantage points, all around the water plant. Not snipers, surveillance markers, tracking, recording, locking his position. The woman stepped back into the shadows. "You weren't supposed to find her trail, detective." But now it's too late to turn back. Marcus stood frozen as the lasers converged on his chest. And then, all at once, the lights of the entire water plant snapped on. Blinding, electric, overwhelming. A voice boomed through the intercom. Phase 2 initiated.